Baker here with the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce, and we are thrilled to have you back once again on the corner of commerce and community. I'm joined today with a good friend of mine, Erik Thornton, who is a local real estate agent, and he does a variety of other things in the community. Welcome, Erik. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. We were actually just talking about birthdays before we went live. We both, I think, had a birthday within the last few weeks, so happy belated birthday.
You as well.
And last week, our guest was someone who had relocated here from another area, and you mentioned that you went home to Illinois for your birthday, so you also are a recent transplant to Tennessee?
Yeah, and time flies, I think, about 3.5 years.
Okay.
It feels like I had 6 months every time I answered that question.
Right.
Time's just going quick.
What brought you to Tennessee?
Well, my in-laws moved here, I think, 9-10 years ago at this point, so visits down here, and we just kind of really started to like the place. It was time for a change, looking for some opportunity, and this felt pretty ripe with opportunity as we were down here and just loved the people. And when it was time to make that move, you know, Gallatin, Nashville was kind of top of the list.
Awesome. I love it. What got you into, we'll just jump right in. What got you into real estate? Is that something you did in Illinois, or is that something you started once you got into the Tennessee market?
Yeah, actually, no, I did not do that in Illinois.
Okay.
I had a career in management for companies like AIG and Prudential, and software company, leading teams, and some account management, a lot of customer service, those sorts of things. But they were always fantastic jobs, fantastic people that I was around. But it didn't, there was some itch that wasn't getting scratched. And I knew, I found out about myself, I wanted to build something. I wanted to own my own business. And I had a lot of different ideas that came and went, but the one thing that was always there was real estate. And so it's no secret that real estate's been pretty hot a lot of places, but when we started looking at Nashville, you know, we kind of saw what the market was doing and thought, hey, when I move here, I'm going to kind of hit that reset button on the career, and decided to jump in with both feet right when we moved here.
Awesome. What's it like right now in 2023?
Well, most would say that it's a little bit different than it has been the last couple of years coming out of the COVID area, or COVID era. But, you know, it's a little bit more fun right now, I think, frankly. I still work with a lot of buyers, sellers as well, but I think while there's some challenges with interest rates and inventory and those sorts of things, I'm enjoying taking clients through the process a little bit more because they actually have some wiggle room in price. They can negotiate a little bit, and you don't feel like you have to get them there right when the house hits the market. Make a decision. Don't sleep on it. You know, those days are a little bit behind us. There's still some hot properties out there, especially ones that are priced right. But I'm enjoying seeing my clients get to take a moment and breathe and actually make sure that it's the right house for them before we make offers.
I love that. So last week we actually had a guest on, Brent Bruce. I think you know him. We talked a little bit about the mortgage world and lending and all of that. And so our viewers for this show, and thanks for watching, and thanks to Vol State for having us every week, are a lot of times students, community partners, and those in the area who just want to know more about Gallatin. So I think, you know, as someone who's watching this and saying, hey, I think I might want to buy a house and I might want to do it in Gallatin, what are your top 3 things that you would share with them?
Yeah, I'd say first and foremost, you got the cart a little bit before the horse if you don't know what you can afford and how you can buy it.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously cash is king if you're one of those buyers and you can throw money at it. In the form of cash, then you're in pretty good shape. But for most people, they want to look at financing. So I think a common misconception is, well, I see a house on Zillow, let's go look at it, right? Well, that's fun. That's the fun part of what we do, you know, for us as realtors too. But really, we need to make sure that you've got your ducks in a row from a financing standpoint. We're ultimately doing you a disservice if we take you out and show you properties and then if we don't have that financing all buttoned up so that you're pre-approved. So the first step I would say would be, you know, talk to a lender. And I usually recommend about 6 months in advance, because a good lender, what they can do, and maybe Bruce touched on this, Bruce is a great guy, but they can actually walk you through how to improve your financing situation,
we talked a little bit about that.
Whether that's credit issues and maybe your credit's great, but it can be better. You know, there's just a good lender can act as a consultant to kind of get you to as good of a position as you can be, and that 6 months allows you a little bit of runway to do that before you're ready to buy. And then, of course, you know, then we get back to the fun part and actually going out and looking at properties. And at that point, I think you might have an idea of what you're looking for, but when you see the properties, you see what's available on the market, that's going to start to come into focus on, what you can get for your money and where you can get it and kind of what those top things are. So I think it's good to have an idea of that, but be flexible. I think ultimately what I advise most people is you're looking for that 80 to 90% perfect house. You could write plans out,
right.
Work with an architect and say, this is my perfect house, build it, and then you move in and say, I wish I would have put that laundry room by the master bedroom.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, for me it's the dishwasher. My dishwasher opens in front of the cabinet where I have to get the dish soap out of, and I tell Ryan all the time, I'm like, next time we buy a house, I'm paying attention to where the dishwasher is.
Yep, it's the little things,
Yeah.
So it's, I've never seen anybody find that 100% perfect house, so I think that kind of last step is be prepared to adapt a little bit and
right.
find those things that you're not willing to compromise on, and maybe some little ones that you are, to get in a great property for you and your family.
What are the, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
You mentioned that the market is a little bit different than it was pre-COVID, COVID, whatever season we're in now. It's a little different.
Right.
What's the average home price in Gallatin right now?
That's, it fluctuates a little bit, but I've been seeing a lot of 500 to 550, kind of in the stats that I look at.
That's wild.
Which, yeah, that's up quite a bit from even when I moved here.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing that, you're seeing it, I keep using the term leveling out, whenever you start seeing those price reductions and things like that. Some people, they get a little trepidatious thinking, things are crashing or the prices are falling, and it's maybe paint it to be a little bit more dramatic than it is. And who knows where it's going? I don't have a crystal ball, I can't predict that. But right now, we're kind of hovering in that range, and we've caught up with some of our neighbors like Hendersonville. We're seeing a lot of similar price points to Hendersonville right now, which has traditionally been a little bit higher than Gallatin.
What about how long are houses staying on the market right now in the Gallatin area?
Yeah, staying on a little bit longer. Not too long ago, it was, average days on market was like, a few days. The stats still showed something like 14 to 15 days. But I think that's not what buyers were feeling. They were feeling more of like, this thing gets listed on a Thursday or Friday.
It's gone by
Wednesday. Go in Friday and Saturday, all the offers are in by Sunday.
Yeah.
So those days are a little bit past us now.
Okay.
So that average time on market, has gotten a little bit more comfortable at this point for buyers.
And what are you seeing as, you mentioned like that unicorn house. I know a lot of folks, especially first-time home buyers, get in there like, we're going to have the house that has all of these things, and then you realize quickly that you can't. But what are those non-negotiable? What are the most common non-negotiable items you're seeing folks look for, like saying, I have to have this?
Yeah, that's. Folks generally have some flexibility. Like I said, actually, once they get out and actually start seeing the properties, I usually see a change in what they thought was important to them. So that's fluid for each person, but I think some of the more popular things in Gallatin, larger Sumner County, right? A lot of people, if they're uncompromising on anything, it might be that land. They want an acre or more, or 150 acres. That can really vary. But somebody who wants some space to spread out and enjoy that land, that could absolutely be something that they're not willing to compromise on, because that's a shift in their lifestyle if they go from 10 acres to a quarter-acre lot in a subdivision. We're also seeing some trends right now with, I think coming out of COVID, the home office. A lot of folks either want a dedicated home office. I'm seeing a lot of builders catering to that at this point and actually making dedicated home offices. But a lot of folks, if they're uncompromising on something too, from that lifestyle standpoint, they want at least an extra bedroom that they could have dedicated as that home office, because times have just changed so much. So many more people are working from home.
Are you seeing a lot of people want less yard? Or is it kind of like up in the air in this area?
Yeah, there's folks that have that. I was one of them. I lived in an apartment not too long ago, and it's, again, I keep going back to lifestyle, and I think that's whether that's an HOA that takes care of that yard for you, or whether that's a small yard that you don't have to spend much time tending to.
Right.
What's your lifestyle? Are you traveling a lot for work? Or both? Does the entire family go to work? What does that look like? And I think that's different for
everybody,
for a lot of people. But I am seeing, especially in this area, as a lot of professionals, greater Nashville area is seeing an influx of a lot of professionals that are career minded at that point in their life. a lot of times, yeah, that is important to them, where the maintenance is taken care of and they don't have to spend much time on that.
Oh yeah, I tell Ryan all the time, I say, if something happens to you, the first thing I'm probably doing is getting an apartment or a townhome, because I don't want anything to do with taking care of a yard.
It's
and
a
that's
chore.
just, I also don't have time to be out there and do that. I'd rather be doing other things.
Yep.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk for a second about some of the other things, which I think set you apart. I think we have a lot of real estate agents in the area. I work with a lot of them at the chamber, and they all do great things.
Yeah.
They all do things a little differently. And I think some of the things that I've noticed have set you apart are some of the different, things you're involved in, and some of the ways you're taking on sharing information about the community. Sure. So let's talk a little bit about B3, and then also your Living in Gallatin series.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So B3 is, Dennis Tolpa and William Stiles. They're my partners in that. It's almost the start of a corny joke. Me being the realtor, Dennis being the lender, William being the insurance agent. It's like these three guys walk into a bar. Like it's almost kind of funny whenever you look at it that way. But we noticed that through our networking efforts around the community that folks, there's a lot of great organizations to get involved in to meet people. The Gallatin Chamber being towards the top of that list for me personally, and I know a lot of people feel that same way. But we just thought that people like to kind of get together and talk shop and support each other. But at the top of that list for us is helping people build relationships.
Absolutely.
So B3 is business, bonding, and beer. And the kind of that beer part of it, yes, we do meet at the Rudder once a month, and we do enjoy some beverages. But ultimately, it speaks to it's casual. I mean, you can come in flip flops and a cutoff T-shirt. This summer if you want to, which we just hosted an event last night.
Did people wear cutoff T-shirts?
Perfect. No, there were no cutoff T-shirts that night. Okay. Maybe we'll do a theme party.
I mean, that'd be kind of fun.
Maybe we'll do a theme party this summer. But yeah, B3 is just an environment for folks to do just that, build genuine relationships in the community and see how they can help one another win, and we believe there's plenty of opportunity out there for all of us, So we like to provide that environment where people can make those connections.
Are you still doing a podcast with B3?
We are. So we're in a little bit of a hiatus at this point. Okay. We wrapped season 1, and we thank you for being a guest on that, by the way. Yeah, but that's called What You Sippin' On, and so it's a little bit of a spin-off of the B3 Business Bonding and Beer. We open each episode by saying, hey Kim, we find out in advance, what are you drinking on? What's your favorite drink? So it's kind of an icebreaker, but you also get to learn something about you, which is really cool.
And when I went, we had margaritas, I think, right? We made margaritas. Yep. They were skinny margaritas, and we all sipped on them together, and that was fun.
And we learned a little something about Kim. What's her favorite drink and why, and those sorts of things. And sometimes it's cool to hear those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think it's neat that you do that. I often hear a lot of times, and I think you and I had this conversation early on, the chambers, we hear about these groups, and people say, is this going to compete with the chamber does? And I'm quick to say, no, absolutely not, because you nailed it. There's so many ways for people to connect in the community, and I would be, I think, ignorant, and I think other leaders would be too, to say our way is the only way to connect. 100%. And I find value in coming to events like yours. I can't make it down there all the time, but I've enjoyed coming when I can.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Talk a little bit about your Living in Gallatin series too, because I think that's really fun and different.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's still relatively new, as you know, and I just I've been the lucky recipient of a lot of good things about Gallatin. I mentioned at the kind of the beginning of this that moved here, and I knew my in-laws, I knew my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law. They preceded our move down here, but other than that, Whitney and I didn't really know anybody. But as soon as we made the dedicated effort to get out and meet people, join the chamber, go to other events, there are just so many awesome people here trying to do their version of life. I mean, whether that's building a business, working for a business, whatever that looks like, it seems like there's so many people here that want to genuinely see other people succeed.
Absolutely.
And then just getting in touch with the history of Gallatin and trying to preserve that, but improve going forward and keep the charm. And I'm a fan of the community. I love what's going on in this community. And living in Gallatin is just my way of saying, hey, let me highlight little pieces of this, whether it's through our interviews or my partnership with Nicole at Gallatin Lifestyle. And I intend to get out and profile some businesses and profile some neighborhoods and do a lot of other things like that just tell a little bit of the story and try to honor what Gallatin has been and where it's going.
Awesome. I love that. And so if somebody wanted to catch your Living in Gallatin series or connect with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, so Living in Gallatin, that's the name of it. It's on my YouTube channel, Living in Gallatin. There's also, you can find that series on my Facebook business page, Erik Thornton-Realtor. You can find that there, or I am Erik.Thornton.Realtor on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today, and I think you said it a couple times. You mentioned when you relocated here, you love the people, and then when you're doing your Living in Gallatin series, you mentioned the people. And I always say that people are Gallatin's greatest asset, and I think
100%.
everybody would say that about their community, but I truly think that Gallatin's people are the best, and you're one of them. So thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Hey, we've got a lot of great things coming up before the next time we see each other. This week, actually on Saturday night, is the Gallatin Shalom Zone's inaugural sneaker ball. That's February 25th, happening at St. John Vianney. You can throw on your coolest kicks and wear a ball gown and dance the night away. March 3rd, which is next weekend, United Way Gala in the Vineyard is happening at Long Hollow Gardens. I actually just heard this morning that it's almost sold out, so if you want to attend that, you will want to snag your tickets very soon. And certainly last but not least is Saturday, March 11th is the 10th annual Gallatin Shamrock Run benefiting the Chamber Foundation. And so that happens on the streets of historic downtown Gallatin and takes you on a scenic tour through the business and commercial historic district. So we hope you'll join us for that day. We'll be back next week for the Community Corner, and our friend, you mentioned her, Nicole Bell with Gallatin Lifestyle will be joining us. So thank you for being here.